Oh, okay. Maybe it's just my hearing.
And we're live. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Comic Book Chronicles. I am your host. I am not Tim D-O-double-G. Of course, those of you that have been watching the show for a long time know who I am. And of course, it's right there on the screen. But for those listening, I'm your host, Classic. From the podcast. I'm glad to be the guest host here for today's edition. Glad to come back to the Comic Book Chronicles with you guys. And of course, we've got our usual panel of suspects that will be here to talk comic books on a weekly basis. So let me introduce our co-hosts. Sitting in the sound technician's chair, the engineer of all effects. He is Agent 70, is it now?
What's up, everybody? Glad to be here.
Awesome. Good to see you, old friend. And of course, on the other chair, he is the guy with the news that all the nerds need.
Nice.
He is Roddy Cat is in the building.
Yeah!
What's going on, people?
And of course, Tim D-O-double-G is not here. Also not here right now is PCN Dirt. He's still around. He's at home, but he's enduring some power outages with some thunderstorms. So Dirt, if you're listening or if you listen to this later, sit tight and be safe. That's more important than anything. We'll try to keep things going for you on this end. But so let me just do some some housekeeping items. What Tim normally does.
That's right.
Of course, you can check out the Comic Book Chronicles via the KLIQ Nation's website. That's thekliqnation.com. Email the KLIQ Nation at thekliqnation@gmail.com. Follow the KLIQ Nation on Twitter at thekliq Nation. You can also keep up with discussion of the show. Comic Book Chronicles is the hashtag, so hashtag Comic Book Chronicles on Twitter. Like our Facebook page, The KLIQ Nation. Add us to your Google Plus circles and the Google Plus community. Just look for The KLIQ Nation on both. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/TheKliqNation. And of course, all that KLIQ Nation is KLIQ. Not to be confused with the other Click, which is a very terrible Adam Sandler movie.
Oh!
You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. This podcast is part of the Cold Slither Podcast Network, which is run by some weird guy that pops up every now and then. I don't even know who he is. But you can go to coldslitherpodcast.com or just look on iTunes and Stitcher for Cold Slither Podcast Network, and the KLIQ Nation's Comic Book Chronicles is a show on there.
There you go.
Awesome. So, with that being said, let's get right into it and talk about the week that was in comic books. This is, of course, the last week before Labor Day, so there's going to be a shortened week next week. But we're going to have a lot of great, comics, obviously today and next week that we can talk about. Before that, though, there's a weekly article. There's an idea for a weekly article where we can highlight 3 books we're looking forward to next week.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
All right, so
that's in the hopper.
Yeah, I'm reading that directly.
Don't worry about what's in there. Those are works in progress.
All right. But let's get right to some news. There's been a lot of news coming out of the world of comic books this week. For one, Jeremy Renner says Hawkeye might be in Captain America 3.
Spoiler alert!
You guys have anything further on that news there?
Well, so basically this was like, talking with Renner, and he was like, yeah, Hawkeye's have a bigger role. It might potentially have a bigger role in this because, pretty much anything else they had as Hawkeye, they haven't. So, we don't. You know what? I kind of so I really don't know what in what capacity. It's not really said because actually there was a couple of different things about Captain America 3, which were the 2, but it is just that, hey, they're beefing Hawkeye's partners.
Wow.
We can kind of speculate as to what that would be, but
Hey, Roddy, I think the hotel Wi-Fi is acting up.
Yeah, we heard like maybe 3 words out of all of that.
yeah, okay, great, I love it.
I was about to say, what you need to do is maybe, like, if you have a Ethernet cable, plug in to the wall.
Man, this is 2014. They don't have Ethernet cables in hotels anymore.
Oh man, you gotta hook up the dial-up with the 56K.
Oh no,
man. You get the
that's awful.
That zero CD going.
Right.
But I guess to sum up or to recap, there's a possibility. I think what you're saying was Renner was being asked, of course, with Avengers: Age of Ultron being on the verge, is his character going to die in that movie? Because everyone's speculating that one of the Avengers will die, and he's saying, well, no, Hawkeye's going to live through that, which is kind of a big spoiler because you're pretty much telling the story, but. He did also let on that he might be showing up in Cap 3. And some related news from that, and I don't know if you guys have seen, the talk on the directors of Cap 3 have been hinting that there's going to be a lot of Marvel characters that will show up.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, in Cap 3. But that's as much as they let out. I don't know if that means we'll see a lot of Avengers coming in Cap 3, if the tone will change or the premise will change. And I'm sure a lot of that will be impacted by what happens in Age of Ultron.
Yeah, the article I saw had Secret Wars type mashup in the title. So that's not necessarily saying that it's going to be Secret Wars, but it basically one of the directors kind of hinted around like if they wanted something big like Secret Wars. So we don't know yet. Again, we don't really know. I'm just hoping it's not X-Men 3.
Oh.
Yeah. That's the only thing I can hope for at this point.
Yeah, you don't want cameos out the ass, and it's just becomes a big, cluster.
Right.
Cluster. Days of cluster past.
Yeah, that's no good. That's no good. Anytime you bring up, be it either, no offense, classic Spider-Man 3, or you know what I mean, or X-Men 3. All of a sudden, you start to get those comparisons. It's kind of frightening.
Hey, look, Cap is never going to a jazz club and start dancing and wearing dark emo hair or so.
Hey, you still got that date with Peggy Carter. They could do something.
They could do some some swing dancing, some Lindy hopping or whatever.
That is funny.
Yeah.
All right.
Other news that's happening in the world of comics. Hatchet Fishing Marvel collections for 2015 have been announced. Hawkeye and Star Wars will get their own omnibuses, and that's courtesy of BleedingCool.com.
All right.
So that should be interesting because you're looking at Hawkeye has got a huge following with that book, which sadly is coming to an end soon, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, but there seemed to be speculation about whether the book is or whether Fraction's run is. It kind of seemed like it's the book, but I've seen some stuff where it may be just his run, but we don't know yet. But
they might just relaunch it with the new #1.
Could be under a new direction, but Fraction and Ava have been doing a great job with that, and it's. I mean, I don't know if it's won any awards, but it should.
Yeah, it did. It won a. It actually did just win an award. I'm blanking on the one.
Well, the Pizza Dog issue won the Eisner.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's the big dog. So.
Right.
Yeah, that was a huge one.
Well, I was just gonna say very quickly. Fraction had a great run, on Immortal Iron Fist, and now this is going to be another great run. Basically reestablishing a character in the Marvel universe. In Hawkeye. Not that he wasn't established, but as being capable of carrying a solo title for the most part. These are two great examples of Fraction's, ability to create not something out of nothing, but just expand on some of these more street level characters and really make them shine in the Marvel universe.
Indeed, and I mean, Hawkeye's kind of one of my favorite characters, and the fact that he even got a solo book in the first place, and not counting solo Avengers and the
Right.
various other miniseries that he's had, it was a great thing to see, and being written so well, and the art was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I kind of hate to see it go, but I do hope they plan to bring it back.
Yeah, it added a lot of depth and layers to the character Clint Barton, and you found out more about him. His background, just the way he thinks and how he lives, and it really, you really get to know, the same way we know Captain America, we know Steve Rogers, and we know Tony Stark. We could say that we know Clint Barton a lot better, and it gives him a fan base, a following in terms of like cinematically when they do flesh him out on screen, so it's not like they're just saying, well, here's Hawkeye. He shoots arrows, a lot more. He's gonna have a lot more fans that show up in the theater because of this.
All right.
For those new readers out there, and of course, in addition, the entire omnibus of the Marvel's previous Star Wars run that should be exciting too for anyone that's interested in Star Wars or old comics. So check that out. Next in news, new promo for Gotham reveals a look at future episodes and new characters. Have you guys seen these new promos that have been coming out for this show?
Yeah, I seen a little. I checked that out, and it's basically showing Carol Kane, who a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, like we're old, we would know her for like Taxi or whatnot, and various other places. But she's supposedly playing Penguin's mom.
Wow.
And I believe it also showed Frank Whaley, or is Whaley or Wally, one of the two. I guess it's Whaley, who you may know from the stuff. I'm blanking on where I've seen him from, but we don't know what he's playing. And there was also someone in there that they're speculating as being Magpie. Now, my DC knowledge is not that great. I don't know who Magpie is, but I suppose
hello, Google.
Yeah.
Magpie.
Magpie. It sounds familiar, but I can't really.
You got me.
Yeah.
You got me.
But the name's familiar. It's familiar from like an old Batman tale that I once read, but I don't exactly know what his deal was.
Right.
Maybe showed up in Batman the Animated Series once. Maybe.
Possibly.
I
want to say it's like either related to Scarecrow or Penguin. Like it was like that was he was part of one of those stories or something. But it's awesome because they're really connecting, the Batman universe, so to speak, with this show. So I mean, I like that aspect of it. I think one thing I'm wary of is how developed are these characters going to be, because this is still very early on in the career of Gotham, as my top drops there. So I don't want to see like a full-blown Riddler with question mark outfits, and Bruce Wayne is still like, not even 12 years old yet. It's kind of you kind of want to get away from that.
I suspect it's going to be very, like organized crime based, sort of like, the beginnings of Batman Begins, and I think that's going to be the crux of it, and it's going to be Lieutenant Gordon, working his way up the ranks and working his way through the corruption in Gotham. So that's knowing that's where this show I think is going to go. So I'm looking forward to at least seeing how the first episode plays out and see how they decide to move forward with establishing the universe. I think I did see something that says there's going to be some visual conflicts or anachronisms where you'll see like old-fashioned cop cars, but cops stepping out of them with cell phones. So it's just going to be there's going to be a few things like that we kind of.
So it's like Ultimate Batman. Kinda.
So we'll see how it goes. But that was one comment, not a criticism, just noticing something from filming and from some of the set pictures that we'll see in the finished product.
All right. we'll see if that takes place. Um, and Carol Kane was in Scrooge.
There we go.
Any
Yes.
younger any younger listeners out there, if you know the Bill Murray movie Scrooge, I think she played one of the Christmas ghosts. So there you go. Point of reference for you.
Hold on a second, catch it.
Yeah, go watch some old Taxi though. Come on, man.
There you go.
Yeah, that's television history right there. I'm sure Taxi's on Hulu or one of those.
It's got to be.
Yeah. Expand your horizons, folks. Next, Netflix's chief content officer, Ted Sarandos, talks about the upcoming Marvel series. So there's some news breaking on that, thanks to BleedingCool.com. Apparently, you got the Marvel series Daredevil, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and they're going to come together as the Defenders. Guys, what details did you notice from these gems that he dropped on this in this interview?
Well, go ahead, Roddy Cat, because I know I didn't post this.
So they're basically saying that, hey, well, they really didn't. Well, first of all, they kind of went into. They really didn't go into anything more than the Daredevil stuff, and they're basically saying that, yeah, there may possibly be some crossovers. Well, excuse me, they've talked about, there may be crossovers in the to the movies, but nothing definite. But the crux of the article was basically saying, yeah, they're gonna, they're not going to be afraid to take Daredevil to a darker level, which, it's Daredevil. It's supposed to be dark. So that means we could get some good old gritty, possibly HBO, type. That's
interesting.
They didn't say those words. That's me putting all that into it. But they said they weren't, Now, what they actually said was they would not be afraid to go darker than the film did. Now, if you've ever seen the film, that probably won't be that hard to do.
Right. Well, the film is based on the film we try not to mention much. Is based on a run of Daredevil that was fairly modern, and obviously took hints from some of the more classic Daredevil stories, and especially the seminal Frank Miller run. And I think I may have skimmed this article, and I think what they're mentioning is that they want to evoke the Frank Miller run. What is that? Someone's got police in the background?
Yeah, that's outside my window.
Wow.
Oh,
sounds
man.
like you're the one in New York, not me.
Yeah, the mean streets there.
The mean streets of Dragon Con. I was about to say, when we get to, and at some point in the news, you're going to give us a report on Dragon Con.
Well, I mean, it hadn't really started. Well, they hadn't really started up big yet. I mean, there was stuff today. There was really not much to tell. Everything's pretty much starts up tomorrow.
Oh, okay. All right.
Great, man.
So next up we have, I did see this, Donald Glover is Miles Morales' Spider-Man. He's been cast in the animated series, correct?
Yep. Was it the Web
Warriors or something? Yeah.
Yeah, he's being cast as the one Miles Morales, which apparently he's been wanting to play Spider-Man for a while or something.
Yeah, since before Amazing Spider-Man, the reboot hit, when they had cast the kid from The Social Network, Donald Glover was making his pitch saying, well, I should be Spider-Man, and, why not? Because there's a, Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, he's out there, and it actually had quite a following. So, from those rumors and then his continued popularity on Community and Childish Gambino, his rap career, his name is a lot higher profile, and I think he's always had a connection to the Spider-Man franchise because of the rumors and everything. So this is kind of like seeing it come together is kind of cool. He gets his wish, so he's going to be voicing Miles in the Web Warriors on Disney XD this season. Now, Ultimate Spider-Man Web Warriors, is that going to be? That's basically is that like a spin-off of the Ultimate Spider-Man series?
I think it's just the next edition.
Right.
I see. So this will kind of run parallel to the existing Ultimate Spider-Man?
Not. Hello? Oh.
This is basically like the new version of Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's like the next edition.
Yeah, I think they're probably going to kill Ultimate and then go with this.
Oh, I see.
And a new #1.
There you go. Yeah.
Although Ultimate's been on longer than like most of the last few shows, because usually they usually like 2 seasons and done. But
Yeah.
again, that was before Marvel got bought by Disney. So and
Right.
I think Ultimate was the first one that was under Disney. So I guess going forward, we may or may not be able to get more. You know, if this is good. I know
Well, hopefully
there
this.
was supposed to be another show in addition to this one that's going to come out around the same or something.
Would
And I
that be?
think-
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think they also they also renewed Hulk Agents of Smash and Avengers and the Avengers cartoon. What do they call it now? Avengers Assemble?
Avengers Assemble, which is
Yeah.
on Netflix. I actually am going to finally catch up on Avengers Assemble. I had not watched not one episode.
I saw the first two, I saw the first two. I wasn't really too crazy about it, but it looked just like you. I did the same thing because it might have actually gotten better.
I watched the whole thing.
Did you?
Yeah, I watched the whole thing without the aid. Let's just say, let me put it this way, Yar, and that's how I watched it. And it's okay. We get to see, we get to see the Cabal, one incarnation of it, and how that's sort of emerging in the pages of the Marvel Universe proper now. So, that it's interesting, for that. I'm still not keen on a lot of the characterization, but I'm old, so I have like an idealized version of these characters in my mind, and when I see something that's different, it's very hard to adapt.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all
It's
right.
really
Like
interesting
Donald
'cause-
Glover, though, I bet he wish he could have parlayed that into a live action thing like Chris Pratt did.
Yeah, and I know this kind of like bleeds into Spider-Man news, but didn't Sony say that there won't be a Miles Morales in the cinematic universe or in their Spider-Man? Like there's not.
Did they say that?
Thought one of the executives. I just remember reading that and going, "Well, that kind of sucks." They don't like money, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
But they make enough as it is, so.
Pretty much.
Next in the news, Marvel is going to republish Dark Horse's Star Wars comics in new epic collections. So now that Marvel has now that Disney has a Star Wars property and the synergy with Marvel, being able to take Dark Horse's comics and reproduce them, Dark Horse, is getting a chunk or, got paid off, in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, they must have got paid off.
Yeah, so they're pretty much taken care of. But to be able to get this all put together, again, if you're a Star Wars fan or if you're catching up and want to get excited for the Episode 7 and the new movies coming out, this is a good way to get caught up. And Dark Horse has had some great Star Wars stories over the last number of years. They withholding the property. So, only thing is these stories will not be considered canon. Although these are some great Star Wars tales, you're going to have to deal with the fact that when you see the movie, this isn't going to be what you see on screen. Disney and Marvel are going to create their own new storyline. I think though there will be some elements of a lot of what's been canon before the extended universe and expanded universe and Dark Horse. Guys, any thoughts on this?
I'm just
Uh,
glad that
uh,
I was just gonna say I'm glad that they're able to get this and really put out a lot of that stuff that I guess carried the load for Star Wars fandom for a long time. That really sated a lot of appetites until episodes 1, 2, and 3 came out, and then even after that, a lot of the Star Wars fans that maybe weren't big fans of the movies of the prequels still were able to get what was quality Star Wars material in the Dark Horse books. That was going right up until Lucasfilms was sold to was bought by Marvel. Disney, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, the one that I didn't see here was the Brian Wood book, which unless they were going by a title that I didn't recognize it under, but I didn't see that one in this collection, but maybe that's going to come along at some other point because that's the one that people talk about.
Yeah.
The most when you ever especially the later ones, and I believe Marvel's books are going back to I know at least one because I know they've already announced 3, and I think they're all, if not most of them, take place during the first trilogy, the original trilogy.
Yeah, because that's around the time they were published, was after that original trilogy.
Right.
Through that. Republic, Purge, Seconds to Die, Hidden Blade, Tyrant's Fist, Darth Vader and the Lost Command, and Dark Time will be in this first trade paperback collection for Volume 1. And being that this is Volume 1, there's going to be others. I'm expecting. I liked Star Wars Infinities when Dark Horse had that, where it was basically that was like a what if in the Star Wars universe.
Oh yeah.
It told some stories like what if Leia was the one that ended up on Tatooine, and Luke was like the twins were raised by different parents instead of the ones they got. And basically it shows Leia, becoming an apprentice of Darth Vader and learning the dark side of the Force and everything. It was funny. It was like because it took one like divergence from the original trilogy storyline and basically ran with that for like a good number of issues. So look that up. Next in news, Captain America 3 starts filming in Atlanta. For all of our folks down in Hotlanta, you might notice some I don't know.
Star Spangled Avengers running around.
Yeah.
Except they won't go until next year, so.
Okay, I'm getting used to the sector. But according to comicbook.com, after part of their press tour, the directors, Joe and Anthony Russo, they told Collider that the third installment will begin filming next April. So next spring, and they'll be in Atlanta, GA. And so when asked about which locations, they just said various locations. They didn't go into detail. So look for that. And speculation at the end of this article that Captain America 3 will follow the Death of Captain America and Fallen Sun arcs from the comics.
Oh, too soon.
Yeah, could be. But May 6th. Slated for the reveal of this entire film, so we'll look for that.
So if you see Tim in episode 7, you know why.
Yeah, exactly. You see Tim in like side by side with the Winter Soldier or something.
Yeah, and Tim and Adam Black, they'll both be up in there.
We'll be looking for you.
Yeah,
we'll be looking for.
They'll be doing Stan Lee style cameos. Get out of the way! And, like, saving people from like rubble falling from buildings and stuff, and fighting the Chitauri. Who knows?
Exactly.
In other news, moving on, Savage Dragon creator Eric Larson is exactly right about superhero costumes.
Oh, somebody's blogging about this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I put that on there just in case something else came up. But basically, what he was saying was like the short of it was that, hey, we make these costumes in the books a certain way because they work in a comic book. Now that, like say Guardians Galaxy or any other comic book, basically saying that the costumes that are in the movies are now coming back into the comic books, which is basically unnecessary. Like that was pretty much the long and the short of the article, because it's like okay, that works on screen. Sure, fine, but it doesn't need to go back into the comic books because these are already like this for a reason.
Right. Well, he needs to talk to somebody in marketing about that.
Yeah, I think he even said he understands it, but it's like it's just kind of.
It's a terrible. It's always been something I've railed against. On the cinematic side, like, oh man, why are they changing? The costume for the movie and the X-Men was like probably the most notorious because everything went to black leather.
Right.
And they even joked about it, like, what do you want me to wear? Yellow spandex? I was like, yeah, that would have been cool if you had some of that, because this black leather Wolverine with no mask crap is, just a pain in the ass. People are used to seeing that, and then you go to the comic, and all of a sudden he's got no mask, and he's got his jacket, and he's just, and he's got the black leather deal, and it's like, that's not Wolverine. That's not the Wolverine that people, fell in love with, and, from the iconic comic book covers, so I think, the movies becoming the comics is a problem because, but then again, you look at, right? The comic becoming the movie now. It's like, or both. You're basically seeing Captain America with chainmail or something now in his.
Well, yeah, and they brought that up.
Yeah, and pouches and stuff like that.
Well, what's funny about that is I never minded the pouch look. I never mind. The chainmail was always there. Yeah. It just wasn't as obvious looking. What my honestly, what's grown on me is the Marvel Now Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely grown on me, and it's probably due in part to the quality Marvel Now Captain America action figure. It's so well done. This is one of my favorite action figures in recent memory. And like I said, it's grown on me. I still don't like the fact that the wings on his helmet are painted on and not wings.
Mm-hmm.
So it bothers me. But other than that, it's grown on me.
Yeah.
I like how you had that handed there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. But there's something to be said about iconic looks, happening. And updates are cool too. I think what's happened too is like a lot of artists have been doing the whole thing where they're drawing with a movie in mind, and that's kind of where Larson's getting at too, in terms of like, what creatively is being put together in comics. But even before movies were coming out, or even before the movie was being, thought of, there was still that kind of like, let's change things up a little bit with the costumes. I like X-Men First Class. A lot of those outfits came from like the run on Astonishing X-Men, and even prior to that, with All New X-Men, where they started to wear the yellow and black, and so the movie kind of paid homage to that, and I thought that was pretty cool because, that was a design that was brand new, and at the same time, it served to be iconic in its own right. What I don't like, or what I'm starting to like we talking about Hawkeye earlier. I'm wondering what kind of look are they going to settle for him, because he went from like having a mask and a tunic to now he's like got a Nehru jacket, and I don't see where his like quiver is.
He's a purple and black Legolas.
Yeah, and like he just looks like he's like going to a club or something. He's not like actually looking to shoot some arrows. I wrote on Twitter last week that head to head, if he went up against Oliver Queen, he'd get beaten because, at least you can see where Green Arrow's arrows are coming from. Like Hawkeye's got this big old jacket. I'm like, where are your arrows, dude? Like you got nothing. All I see is like some big, huge club-looking dude jacket. Another Cap figure there.
Well, this is the first series, Marvel Legends.
Why couldn't we get this for the Spider-Man movies? This is an iconic look at Doc Ock. We had to have him in a trench coat. Seriously? Come on.
By the way, put up listen to the Classic team up that's out right now, because Classic has said that he needs more swag, in response to a question. So he needs some more stuff. He's going to put up an Amazon wish list soon, which I already looked for and didn't see.
Yeah, I didn't put up the wish list. I didn't put one together, but I
now,
do that.
Now I'm bringing out all the Cap figures. I've got a collection of the Cap Marvel Legend figures.
Yeah.
And now I'm just showing off.
Yeah, don't donate to any charities, folks. Just buy me toys. Like the name of the store. Like the name of the toy store on my Buy me toys.
Yes, look for this wish list, please, and listen to the latest Classic team up.
Thank you so much. Yeah, also here on the Cold Soda Podcast network of shows. So if you're listening to this podcast feed on iTunes and Stitcher, just go back one episode or one show, and it's right there.
There you go.
So thank you for that.
Wait, before you go any further, speaking of going back, the Captain America stuff that you mentioned, that was mentioned earlier about the storyline possibly going from Fallen Sun and Cap 9.
Yeah.
That's kind of not so much written. And this is not for nothing, but I remember seeing an article a while back about Chris Pine's contract being way shorter than Sebastian Stan's.
Oh yeah, Chris Evans. Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Evans.
You said Chris Pine. I'm like, no,
Yeah,
not
that's
Kirk.
what the hell I'm thinking. Yeah. So that then already suggested that that could possibly happen, because I think it was like, yeah, Chris Evans, yeah, whatever, one of them Chris's, had only like 3 or 4, movies to do, and like Sebastian Stan had like 9 at the time. So it kind of, to me, it kind of said the fact that it was like, well, yeah, they're gonna have Cap keep going, but not, the Chris.
Yeah.
Right.
But the problem is they keep asking Anthony Mackie all these questions because Falcon is going to be the next Captain America in the comics, and they're like, so, are you going to be Cap? And he's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But his answer should be, they just did this in the comics. You might want to let the movies catch up a little,
Yeah. Well, these actors are trained to basically deny everything.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if this was mentioned last week or not, but I'll shoehorn this into the news. Chloe Grace Moretz, who insists on using 3 names because she's an actress, has said that because of piracy, there will not be a Kick-Ass 3.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So to that I say, feh and double feh and foo on you. And
Yeah.
It could have been because of the movie was terrible.
Exactly. The movie was not that good. It did not get positive word of mouth, unlike the first Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm a huge fan of the books. Like I you guys know, every week that new comics are out, I'm like, you guys get Kick-Ass 3 yet? And you're like, I'm not reading that. That's like the only book I've been reading. So they did finally end the last issue of Kick-Ass 3. I think it was last week or a couple weeks back. Okay. And so, and Millar kind of wrote that. It's funny because he was writing 2, and while he was writing 2, he was planning the movie at the same time. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe they'll get to 3, but a lot of the sense was they would shoot 3 if 2 was successful, which it wasn't. It made money, but it wasn't like,
right.
It was critically panned, and it didn't make as much as it probably could have. And the main reason why Chloe Moretz, I'm not going to give her 3 names, is said that there's not going to be a 3rd movie is because of piracy. Right. He basically said, well, you guys are downloading the movie, so we didn't make any money, so we're not going to do another one. Which I thought 2 things from this. 1, you got paid already.
Right.
And 2, Avengers made a crap load of money, so did Guardians. A lot of these movies that make a crap load of money still lost money due to piracy because that's just the way things are. Right. So to say, well, because of piracy, we're not going to do another movie, that's kind of... it's more not a critique of people doing piracy or just people that go into theaters like you didn't tell enough for your friends. It's more critique of the business model of movies anyway.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't know if this is true now, I feel like she was probably told that by her people or from them that was the reason why, and that's why she was like, well, blah 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 blah, because that's what she heard. I don't know if that's the case.
Yeah, and she's really just being interviewed because she's got a movie coming out. I don't even know what it is. I think she's waking up from a coma or something. So.
Right.
Go check that out.
I was about to say, ultimately, this definitely falls into the Expendables 3 category, where it just received such bad press that it didn't matter that it had been pirated so extensively even before its release here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Because the point is, when I was in the supermarket and the little lady who's selling bootleg DVDs in the supermarket comes up to me and shows me Expendables 3, I still don't buy it.
Yeah.
So
there's a certain audience for bootlegs, and I know people that consistently that's all they've gotten so used to watching it. I'm like, dude, don't you like the movie theater experience, and don't you like seeing things clear? I just can't. It's just not for me. But there's an audience, just like there are audiences of moviegoers that will see movies if they drop, so I'm kind of sad that there's no Kick-Ass 3, but, I can't hold it against anybody. Stop using 3 names.
So here's something. I have an idea right here. So Kick-Ass came under Fox, right? Fox Searchlight, I believe.
I think so, yeah.
All right. If it's under Fox, let's do a Jack Bauer movie and get a better Chloe And then that solves the whole issue. Classic, you with me on this, right?
A better Chloe for 24?
No, we just get a better Chloe on screen.
Oh,
Period.
okay.
That's funny.
So is Jack Bauer than Kick-Ass?
No, just do a 24 movie. We got a better Chloe as opposed to this, fake Chloe playing somebody else.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, do a 24
and
movie.
solve everything.
There you go. And then they basically Jack Bauer tries to get the Tesseract from the Red Skull.
Hey,
That's the
you'll be
plot.
able to do it.
Yeah.
I'm just having fun, and now it's just Captain America toy collection with Agent_70 tonight.
Yeah, for those of you listening on the podcast side, you're not seeing all these great toys he's putting up. On click on the YouTube video,
Please,
link, and
we need views.
You could watch Agent 70, just play around his toy box there, which is what I do when I watch you guys. I'm like, you're just playing with toys. Jesus.
That's comedy. All right.
Last news for the week: Adam West's Batman, the animated series character, gets his own fan film.
No kidding.
Yeah. So, according to Batman, the animated series, Bruce Wayne grew up watching the pulp adventures of the Gray Ghost, who is voiced by none other than Adam West on television. And so, the Gray Ghost, the Lost Reel, has been put up online. This is courtesy of io9.com. And they have a link to the video on their page. But directed by J.L. Topkiss and written by Matt Landsman. And it's inspired by that Beware the Grey Ghost episode, and it's a peek.
Which was a great episode.
Yeah. And so it's a peek into the life of the Grey Ghost. Basically, there's an actor, Forrest Lancaster. He's doing the Adam West voice as the Grey Ghost, a.k.a. Simon Trent. And so, if any fans of the animated series of Adam West, Batman, the Gray Ghost, The Lost Reel, go check that out. And contact the uploader, the director, J.L. Topkiss, and Matt Landsman, and thank them for putting this together.
Sounds good. All right.
So well, that does it for news. Let's get to the meat of the order here. We got to talk about these books that dropped this past week. And we should definitely be doing that because there have been a lot of comics. Guys, I read like a total of 3 comics this week. So
well, that's fine, because what we'll do is just throw out whatever it is that you want to read, that you want to talk about, and then we'll go from there, because I didn't even add my list. I've read a decent number of Marvel books this week, a couple of DC. So throw out whatever it is you want to talk about.
All right. Well, we could do it. I know I like goes DC, Marvel, and then everything else. So we could do that. Actually, no. Doesn't he do? He does the Independents first, and then DC. Then
no,
Marvel?
Actually, nowadays all we do is we updated it, because that used to take forever.
Yeah.
Going through all the publishers. Anybody read anything from Boom? So instead, what we're doing now is like I said, throw out something that you read, and we'll see if any of us read it, and then we'll see if we all have something to say about it.
All right. Let's start with All New X-Men 31.
That's a good start, because I think I definitely read that. And Roddy, did you read that?
X-Men 31.
All New X-Men 31. Yes.
No.
No.
I
all
see
right.
on the cover.
Well, we can talk about this, because it starts with not the Earth 616 we know.
Yeah, you're kind of in a different Earth, and this is basically you're finding out that there's a new manifestation of powers in a new mutant, which we've been finding happen with All New X-Men. Oh, actually, and also in Uncanny X-Men as well, because it's the same team in both books with Scott's new school, or new Xavier school. And then you get into the continuation of the meeting between the new Xavier school folks and and pretty much the people back at the Jean Grey school. They told Scott Summers, hey, look, you're gonna have to come back for the reading of the will. So everyone's assembled for that, and they're going to head back for that. and we get some more banter between Angel and X-23, who have they had their romantic liaison in the last issue, so they're kind of a couple now, so I kind of like the dynamic here because you're getting basically X-23. She's becoming more of a part of the team,
Yes.
not only interacting with Angel but also with Jean Grey and their interactions, where they're talking about interacting with people on the team, and then you get some dialogue between Beast or Hank and Warren and Angel as well. So that kind of gets into that. And then you get some dialogue between Gold Balls, I think that's his name now, Fabio, and he's got a costume, which is the funniest thing.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So,
Gold Balls. Yeah. So
I was about to say, so we're kind of dodging what the point of this issue is, but just very quickly to touch on some of the points that you made, and I'm flipping through it now. We're introduced to this new emerging mutant that the X-Men, that this version of the X-Men have to go and help because her powers are manifesting and she can't control them. And it turns out that she is basically a portal.
yeah.
And the portal leads dun dun dun
between universes.
So when I was talking before, at the beginning of the issue, where we see where the issue opens, not quite in the Earth 616 that we know, this has been foreshadowed. If you've been looking at solicits for the next couple of months, you know what's happening. I'm not so keen on spoiling it, but there is a reveal on the last page of what dimension is being crossed into.
Yes. So for those of you that have been seeing Marvel crossovers of late in comics of different universes, we're set for another one.
Yep.
And it starts in the pages of this book. So a key pivotal book to have if you're going to start to see that. I even like the fact that as they were venturing through portals, there was a flash of the House of M and that reality. I don't know if you noticed that. Yeah,
I did see that. I did see that.
You saw like the House of M, Spider-Man, Wolverine,
Yes.
Nightcrawler, and their get-ups and everything, fighting. So it's like she not only has different access to different like universes and realities, but also just different planes of existence. Like House of M is not its own universe per se. That was just a possibility, but the fact that she can access it, maybe the fact that it did exist does make it a universe. Who knows how universes really work?
Right.
But
and basically, she runs into Heimdall as well.
Yeah.
There's a great shot though, and real quick, and I don't want to dwell too much more on this book because we're going to get to the point where we spoil what happens at the end.
Right.
Did you notice that the symbol or the way the energy manifests around this brand new emerging mutant looks like an S?
Yes.
And just for a hot, quick second, I'm like, that does not look like the Sentry S. What S could that be? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just very quickly, I looked at it and I'm like, no, is this another version of the Sentry in the Void? But it's not. But you start to wonder because of the way it's depicted. That's just a side note from my view.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to give her a code name, but I'm sure we'll have an S involved somehow. Her real name is Carmen. But yeah, I noticed that it's distinctly an S in almost every panel when there's like that manifestation of the portal. It's some kind of S. So
exactly,
who knows what that means?
So
very interesting. Good.
Supergirl.
Yeah, could be. We might see that crossover. What'd you think of the artist of this one, Mahmoud Asrar?
Asrar has been, he's definitely getting acquainted with these characters. I think we have been spoiled to a great extent by the art team that has been on All New X-Men for quite a while. be it Sarah Pacelli, be it it's was it Stuart Immonen?
Yes, the Eminem was
So
the
exactly.
yeah.
So we've been spoiled for a long time. As far as work, and I've met him. I met him at Special Edition NYC, and he's a good guy. His work is good. I'm still not completely thrilled with some of the anatomy and some of the perspective, but I think it's he's got room to improve, but
Yeah.
he's pretty good right now.
Yeah, and I think it's been a decent transition from what we've been seeing earlier. It's not a significant drop off in terms of the art, and that's the main thing I look at in terms of like when I look at books other than the plot is like, oh, just how's the artwork? Does it stand up to what it was before? So yeah, there were certain panels I do like that House of M panel was pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah. That's,
what's funny is that I had trouble placing that.
Oh yeah, I knew that right away because when you look at Spider-Man's costume, that's the giveaway. And then Wolverine in that jacket because
exactly the epaulets.
Yes.
Now that I look at it closely, I recognize it. I didn't, I recognized it as an alternate reality that looked familiar, but I was on the subway reading this. I didn't have a chance to really look real hard and have my brain process that was House of M. But then again, House of M, scary enough as it sounds, is a long time ago.
It was.
It was a long time ago.
I think House of M was back when I used to still take the subway and read comic books.
You were talking. Listen, I hate to keep bringing up the latest classic team up, but I'm going to keep plugging it. One of the things that you mentioned on the most recent episode was it the favorite comic book sagas or arcs? And you start bringing up some of the old stuff. I'm like, dude, that's like 25, 27 years old now. My God.
Yeah.
Like Inferno.
Oh yeah, we were still in the.
Oh my God.
Jeez.
Anyway.
Well, you ask those all-time questions, you get that answer.
Seriously.
So a great book to pick up this week, folks. Next, let's jump over to DC. You guys have any DC books that you want to point out this week?
Did you read anything DC, Roddy?
I kind of skimmed through one.
What you got?
Harley Quinn number
10.
10. Thank you.
Go for it. I didn't read it. Go ahead if you want to talk about it.
It's okay. I didn't read it either. But I did skim through it. It's basically Harley's at Harley. You know what? Just read this book because this book is great.
Okay.
That's one thing. Because this book is funny. There's a lot of references at times. They really kind of nail that kind of stuff. But in the course of this book, Harley is at it starts off with Harley at the roller rink because she has a part-time job in roller derby.
When she's not on Suicide Squad, okay.
Yeah, when she's not on Suicide Squad. Well, that and owning some building. But this starts her in the throes of a derby where she meets a particularly interesting foe in the other team that gives her a little bit of trouble at first. And
a rather statuesque type lady.
Exactly. Harley just kind of goes through this issue dealing with that, and along with a very interesting. It's not a dream sequence. It's more like something happens to Harley, and she ends up in another state of consciousness. Let's say.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Or potentially, the way they have it set up, like she was knocked into another dimension or something. We don't know. Mm-hmm. But this book is cool for that. But the thing that is kind of noticeable about this is the last page, which I don't want to spoil.
I just skipped to it.
Yeah.
I just skipped to it.
Yeah. Let's just say there's an ongoing event right now that this ties into, which you would never think it would, but apparently it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And somebody else is going to be in that book that you would never expect to be in this. So, but either way, go pick up Harley Quinn because it's just a good book, even if you don't know the character. It's not Deadpool. Yeah. That's the best thing I can say about this book.
It's not Deadpool, you say?
It's not Deadpool. That is a good thing.
that that was my first impression looking at it, because I've not seen any issues of Harley Quinn, and this is issue number 10. I've not like looked at this book at all, so this is
Yeah.
kind of my first look at it, and that was one of the first thoughts I had was like, this is kind of DC's version of Deadpool,
Mhm.
but I could see how it can differ, because Deadpool is just like it is. They're both kind of off the wall type of books because of the character, but Harley Quinn, it makes more sense for her to be off the wall, and at the same time, you know, there's the woman aspect of it where you're telling tales, of basically a female character. Um, one thing I noted too was there's two writers to this thing.
Right.
Jimmy
Basically,
Palmiotti
well,
and
yeah.
Emmett.
Yeah, I think Palmiotti's doing like most of the writing, and like Connor's doing. I don't know actually what she's doing. I know they're basically co-writing, but from what it made it sound like he's doing most of the writing, she's doing covers, and she's kind of doing certain stuff here and there in the book. But I'm not sure what. So I do know she's doing the covers, and I know she's does some stuff in there, but I'm not fully.
Yeah,
All
so it
right.
seems to be working out for them. So yeah, I would definitely want to check this out some more.
All right. How about
Yeah,
I throw out another DC book? Classic. Did you read Aquaman number 34?
Dude, I started to as soon as I knew I was going to be hosting this today. I started to skim through that to try to get caught up, and it doesn't. Aquaman never disappoints me. The artwork in this is fantastic. Still, I know it's
But even
different.
though it's not Paul Pelletier, right?
Yeah, this is Rodriguez. Carlos Rodriguez is the guest penciler. Jeff Parker, is taking over the writing. Basically, Aquaman's doing battle with this, another crazy creature. It escapes me like what's called this thing.
The
It's,
Chimera.
yeah,
That's what he's calling himself, I think.
yeah, and that's really all this is basically just an all-out fight.
Right.
So.
Well, it's basically, just to fill viewers and listeners in. Chimera is I guess he's a SEAL or a Navy diver that gets caught up and experimented on, and
Yeah.
he's merged with the cells of an ancient sea creature that ancient Atlantean kings used to defend Atlantis. And he's merged with these cells and with other cells from other sea creatures, and he's basically an amalgam. Here's that word again. Where's dirt when I need him, right? He's an amalgam of a bunch of different creatures and powers, and he can draw on all these abilities. He's a lot like the Super Skrull in that sense. He's got multiple powers that he can use on a whim, and he's basically like a souped-up Aquaman in a sense too, because he can talk to the fishes.
Yeah. He's got tentacles and
Exactly. And he's just like like I said, a souped up Aquaman. But Aquaman does eventually win out. It's kind of a classic sea character defeat, where he's basically burned. Spoiler alert. I'm not going to spoil how it happens, but he's basically burned out of the battle. Let's put it that way. But I agree. The art was good. I mean, I was looking forward to seeing Pelletier, and I saw that there was a guest penciler. But as you said, I was glad to see that there wasn't that much of a drop off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still very hesitant to see how these Futures End issues are going to play out in September. I know Tim was saying over the last couple of shows that unlike Villains Month last month, he's not going to go all in and try to read every single issue. I'm just, I'm to this point where I can't with DC anymore with that stuff, and I'm wondering if this is the month to take off and just wait until October to come back to these stories.
Yeah.
Because I do like where they're going with Aquaman. I do like where they're going with, with Batman. I don't know if I want to take off a month just to read whatever's happening in Futures End.
Yeah, that should really be its own book. The whole.
Well, because people don't buy annuals, so that's why they want to put it right into the, into the regular run.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
Any thoughts?
Aquaman. How about, let's see what else came out this week. Did anyone read? Oh, speaking of leading into a crossover, Uncanny Avengers number 23.
Yeah, some more Remender mumbo jumbo.
Yes, we have a new version of Mumbo Jumbo. It is Remender Mumbo Jumbo.
Yeah, I always thought it should have been as soon as this title was announced and he started like this whole thing with like time and Kang and Immortus and everything. That was my mantra, was this is Remender Mumbo Jumbo. But the title of this issue is Let's Get Well, and they really need it. After all the events that have happened in this book, this is kind of a sort of a decompress issue where you kind of get to find out the new status quo of this team, and find out like where everyone is after pretty much half the team died, and then you had the whole time hopping thing with Kang, and they basically hit the reset button, so to speak, on the events with the Red Skull, and the not the Red Skull, but what happened with the Angel's kids, with the Apocalypse twins,
Right.
And so a lot of that has kind of been resolved, but at the same time, the last few issues were showing like Havoc, and Wasp in the distant future. They had a child, and having to deal with sacrificing the existence of that child so they can go back in time and like set things right, and then just bringing back, So basically, that's most of the issue is just the team back at the Avengers, or back at I think they're a Stark Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like getting. Sort of getting reacclimated to everything.
Right. And I'll tell you that I'm still, honestly, I've read this book from Jump. I'm still not sure how I feel about Wasp and Havoc.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of just sprung up on us, and then just like put forward. I liked when they started to do the flirting and like, hey, they might have a romance thing, and then all of a sudden.
Now they're just, committed, and I'm like, wait a second, we didn't see any of this, happen, but they told us it happened.
Yeah, old married couple with kids, like, what they did this with, Jamie Madrox and Layla over in
Layla Miller.
Yeah, when they were doing X Factor, it was like all of a sudden, they go forward in time and they've been like together for years and they're married and everything. It's like, okay.
I was half expecting. I hadn't really read it, but I kind of skimmed through it. But I was kind of half expecting Havoc to kind of come out like Vision did when he got reconstructed, and just not know who the Wasp was or whatever, or couldn't really remember anything about what they had together or anything like that. So
so they selectively retcon things, and then we Sunfire has basically turned into Age of Apocalypse Sunfire, where
you noticed that. I was like, wait, that's exactly what he is.
Yeah, so he has no corporeal form. He's basically just made of energy, but he's got that's his new status quo. He still has face paint and the Japanese red sun on his forehead, so apparently, and marking. So he's still able to have that design, but he doesn't have his physical form. It's weird. Basically, that was the explanation for his new look. And then Wolverine. Now, I didn't see this in the previous issues, but Sunfire was spending decades or years just burning Wolverine.
Right, because this is pre healing factor going away.
Yeah.
Right.
So. It's kind of weird seeing him in the armor where, because what is this, like 6 months later or 3 months later?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess all the healing factor going away happened after that.
Yeah.
Before this issue.
Dude, just die already.
Yeah.
I'm so tired of Wolverine.
We can get into that. I don't know if you read Wolverine number, 12 or 14 this week. So
I have not, but we can still get into that because I want to talk about that to some of the. And then I
was about to say let's just wrap up this issue. I wanted to hit a couple of quick points. There is a time lapse in this issue. We see Steve Rogers minus the super soldier serum. There's also a reoccurrence. We don't know how long this is going to last because of a status quo for Rogue.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil what the status quo change is. It does not involve being unable to. Well, maybe it is. Like it's unclear at this point
No,
about
I
the
think
touching.
that's definitely clear because that was the first thing she noticed.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can spoil it, I guess. Rogue's old limitations and powers are back.
Right.
You know, so she's old Rogue again, where she can't touch you. She will absorb your memories and your powers. She can fly. She has super strength, and all this.
No. I was about to say.
No, she can't fly.
She was never. Yeah, she can't. What it is she does not have the Captain Marvel powers anymore, but she can fly and has super strength because
she has Wonder Man's powers.
Yeah.
She's sharing Wonder Man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Her old power set is back,
but
for a different reason. Yeah, and a lot of that's because she's got Wonder Man in her, inside of her conscious, so they're kind of sharing her brain, so she can hear his voice, and the trauma from hearing his voice, is kind of similar to the trauma that she usually experiences from absorbing people's memories when she touches them. So she is basically just flipping out because she's hearing his voice in her head, and she's like, just stop. Take her back.
I mean, how long has it been since, I forget which writer, basically cured her of that and gave her, complete control. She's had complete control over her powers for a number of years now in our time.
Yeah.
So,
and Xavier was responsible for that, for helping her get through that. So it's kind of, after Xavier dies, it's kind of, I would say, it's kind of poetic that she, kind of reverts to, her pre-Xavier state to some degree.
Right.
And he can't help her now.
There's that. Let me see if there's anything else to mention. Oh,
I skipped over a Mortis. I really didn't,
I was going to say, because Mortis shows up, and the action figure that's been highlighted over the last couple of minutes shows up at the end of this issue. Hair Skull.
Yeah.
I would do the bad German accent that what's his name does. What is the actor's name? Mr. Anderson.
Agent Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, Agent Smith. What is it? Oh, what is his name? Why is this?
Oh, Hugo Weaving.
Yes, Hugo Weaving. It's like I would do the bad German accent, but now I'm having trouble remembering how it sounds. But we get Hair Skull at the end of this issue, and and there's some old X-Men. Anyone remember? What was that? Not the Evolutionary War. It was Well, I'll just spoil it. Ahab is here. He's been in this book for a while.
Oh yeah.
And basically the Red Skull is setting his plans into motion, and this is definitely going to lead right into Axis.
Yeah. Yeah, and that last page is extremely foreboding, and I was just like, oh gosh. Yeah. So I mean, more to come. From this book, but like I said, it's a good decompression issue, good way to catch up, and really get the next story arcs.
Yeah, it's a great setup for the next story because the decompress is the majority of the issue, but then the last 4 or 5 pages are here's what's coming.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sanford Green has done the artwork on this. What are our thoughts on his job here?
It's a nice looking job. I mean, I don't see anything. It's pretty clean, from what I could tell.
I mean, it's
maybe in a couple spots, but
yeah, I was about to say it took some getting used to for me. In a couple spots, it seemed like there were some panels that were much better rendered than others.
Yeah,
I think that maybe whoever was inking him didn't really, kind of embellish his work to really clean up some of those, less neat pages or less neat panels. There's a couple of great pages that are done here. Like I'll give you an example. Like the first Immortus page is good.
Mm-hmm.
The scenes between Scarlet Witch and Rogue are excellent.
Oh yeah.
I think he was having a lot of fun with those. So you could definitely tell. that those are those are pages he spent a lot of time on, and the inker inked very carefully.
Yeah.
So,
Well, he had an easy job with Havoc because half his head was bandaged.
oh, that's right. That's right. Actually,
Bandaged
there is no inking in this because the
Yeah.
credits say that Dean White is the color artist. So I'm guessing that he colored right over Sanford Green's either pencils, or maybe Sanford Green maybe did his own
himself.
inking. Exactly.
It looks like because he's credited as the artist and not the pencils and
Right.
not a separate inker.
Exactly.
So yeah, when you ink your own work, it does you do tend to basically just trace over it. There's not much of an art to that. So
Right. I was gonna say he's not really enhancing the way like a separate inker might.
yeah.
But it's all right. I noticed it. I was willing to cut him some slack.
Yeah. Well, if anyone follows him on Twitter, maybe tell Marvel to give him some help or something. I don't know. Tell him the Comic Book Chronicles recommended that. Tell him Tim D.O. Double G said that.
There you go.
You get all the hate mail.
That is at TIMDOGG98.
Yes. Geek Click Nation. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so real quick, I wanted to hit on another issue this week where Immortus shows up.
Okay.
Yeah,
Avengers number 34. Anyone read this?
Yeah, I did.
So Avengers number 34 is the culmination of this trip through time, and we get lots of explanation and exposition from Hickman. There's a lot of Hickman mumbo jumbo. I wish Tim Dog was here to tell us about it. You need to read this book to understand. It really does wrap up what's been happening in the Avengers book in the last 4 issues because of this time traveling trippiness that I was having some trouble understanding. But now we've done it. Now we've seen it as Cap is hurtling through the future, and this time. Well, I don't want to spoil everything, but basically it involves the time gem, and goes back to Cap and when Cap was still cool with the Illuminati. And it all goes from there. It's all connected. You see all the threads start to connect in this issue. So if you've been reading this whole time, since New Avengers and Avengers jumped together under Hickman's watch, you see a lot of the threads come together in this issue. And Kang shows up. Spoiler alert. I already mentioned Immortus. But they show up here, and now we get some closure. We get there's a great speech from Cap. I'm a Cap fan. That's no lie. That's no secret. And there's a great speech in here that Cap gives, and made me stand up and salute the man. He's not even real. Well, Chris Evans is real, but
It's amazing how for a man with limited superhuman abilities, Cap is probably one of the most respected, revered, and actually one of the probably the most overachieving heroes in comics. Like, people talk about Batman a lot, and everyone fears Batman. He's got no powers, and he's Bruce Wayne, and he's overrated. And how could he beat Superman? You could technically say the same about Cap to some degree, because you're thinking, well, if anyone were to die from all these space adventures and dealing with, Immortus and Kang and all these different threats and everything, Cap should have been the first one to go. But he's always he's not Thor, he's not Iron Man, he's not the Hulk, but he's the commander, and he basically, with his leadership, his smarts, his brains, and his resolve. He overcomes a lot of what people would think would just be like limitations for him, and steps forward as a leader of all teams, of all the entire Marvel universe.
Absolutely. I know, Roddy, you read this, so I'm going to hand it off to you, but there's a great line in this, and I was just flipping to it, where Cap says, hold on, I'm going to get to it. He says, I figured out the point of all this. I thought that was absolutely some fan service by Hickman. He puts it right into the issue. It's like, this is the point of all this, and we're just like, finally!
Right. Yes. It's like you're like, hey, you're gonna get to this point, just like.
This is the end to the Figment mumbo jumbo. Is that what you
Well,
know?
no,
what
it's
it's
just closing off a thread of the mumbo jumbo, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, just this is just in this one. Now, I thought the only thing, there was only a couple of key things that kind of really got me on this one was that if you remember when he first saw the quote unquote Iron Man,
Yeah.
and you could, and when they kind of stepped to each other, you could kind of see what he was thinking, or no, what he said. You could kind of tell the tension that was right there. So this must have been kind of after. Well, clearly this is after he found out about the things. That's why he kind of had a little attitude or whatnot. And I thought that was cool until it ended up being, a young Avenger who ended up being Kang, whatever. But
Ding, ding, ding.
yeah. Right. Anyway.
Read the issue if you've been on this long. You got to read this issue.
Yeah. So, but that said, yeah, this was a nice little like I've been on this book for the longest, and I like the fact that it's gotten to this point with everything, and I will continue to read to see what happens next, because the quote unquote has been working on me,
Yeah,
so to speak. But the only other thing that kind of got me on this one was probably much to do about nothing, or maybe I didn't read that thoroughly, and I'm trying to get to the page now. Was a almost familiar looking bolt of lightning, or whatever it was.
Where are you?
Page 15.
15.
Yeah.
15.
Like almost familiar little streak.
Like New Universe?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, he's bringing this back again. There's going to be some more people. DP7 is going to show up. Cypher's no, it's not going to happen. It didn't happen.
Cypher's Morituri, man.
No Cypher's, no DP7, none of that. Just that's a whole other situation with Avengers proper. But anyway, so I saw that and I was like, oh well, this is not just. I was pumped out about that. But like I said, this was a good. That's outside. I love this issue, and yeah, don't kind of hit it on the head about Cap. You would think he's the first one to get it, but no, he's usually, as in this issue, like the last man standing out of the whole group, and the one that kind of just turns things around in certain cases.
Right.
So.
My second favorite line after I finally figured out the point of all this was, "You people telling me how I just don't understand when it's you people." I'm like, what do you mean you people? Like, what do you mean, you people? And then he says, "You clever people," and I'm like, oh, it's all because that's him. That's definitely him, like kind of pushing back against all the smarty hoity-toity geniuses in the Marvel universe who are always, kind of poking fun at Cap for being old and not knowing how to use a smartphone.
Right.
So.
yeah.
I kind of got a kick out of that. When I started reading that, I was like, what do you mean, you people? Oh.
So, are we going to see a confrontation based on the Cap's, realization at the end of this issue?
Yep.
So.
Yep. It's all going to go
like
down.
that.
This is probably how they lead into Axis, from the Avengers' point of view. And this is like outside of Uncanny Avengers, because I can't really count that as like a mainstream Avengers book. That's where that's how I see this book leading into the events of Axis, and into the events of Superior Iron Man.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well. All right. We got Roddy back.
Yay, Roddy's back. All right, so yay!
All right.
That hotel Wi-Fi sucks.
Yes,
There you
yes, it does.
I'm telling you, there's hotels still out there that have Ethernet cables and Wi-Fi.
Yeah, they're harder to find. This is kind of the worst I've had in the last few trips that I've had, but that's again something whole different. But anyway, let's move on.
All right, so Roddy, what did you read? What else did you read this week? See if we chime in on it.
Yeah, while I still have some connection here. All New Invaders #9. Did you read that?
Yes, I did read this.
Great.
All New Invaders is starting to become one of my favorite books.
Yeah.
because who's this? I want to say Justin Pugh, but he's an offensive lineman for the New York Giants. What is
No,
this guy? Steve Pugh.
Steve, yeah.
The art on this, classic. If you haven't been reading this, open this up. The art on this is quality stuff.
Yeah. And the writing hadn't been bad either. It's why am I drawing a blank on his name?
James Robinson.
James Robinson, thank you. Also writing Fantastic Four, which nobody's reading.
Exactly. Like I'm the only one. I'm the only one of the CBC crew that reads Fantastic Four, so that's why I James Robinson right away.
Because like the writing's on the wall for Fantastic Four that Marvel's kind of phasing them out, so that's
pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the art in this. I've been reading up to this point. I didn't read this issue. Just
you should read it. It's good.
Yeah, I'm looking at it and like just going, man. I like the fact that Deathlock is just prominently involved in this, as well as as well as Jim Hammond.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of putting the spotlight on a lot of characters that have been not as featured, particularly with Deathlock and his Agents of Shield run. He's getting a lot more exposure,
right?
In books now, and just the but. You guys want to talk about the story a little bit, like what went on this issue?
Hey, go ahead, Rod. You brought it up.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about James Robinson is he definitely loves his Golden Age characters for one thing. So he's good at writing things around that. So and also good pulls around that. But that being said, we see in this issue that the guys are still fighting the various Deathlocks that appeared. As a ruse to get Jim Hammond because of this German arms dealer won him for some reason that we still necessarily don't know, but we start to get the pictures of.
Right.
And he also, as Classic said, pulls out the original Deathlock. I guess that's the original one, isn't it?
Yeah, Luther Manning.
Anyway, yeah. And what goes around there, you see Cap start to come into the picture because they had already called him. And he was on the way and finally got there, and the pieces started to kind of come together as to what's really going on here. It was a really good book read. There was a lot of action to it, and it was a nice little banter between the guys at certain points. Even though this was more of them like, hey, we're just fighting here and doing what we got to do.
What's very interesting about this issue is that Namor is here and Cap is here, and having just talked about the end of Avengers 34,
yeah,
now we're dealing with this, and it's like, all right, so we obviously know we're not dealing with stuff that's happening exactly at the same time, but it's kind of interesting to see how different writers interpret these relationships. What's cool, what I've enjoyed about this All New Invaders book, and what's given this particular incarnation of all of the Invaders some more legs is that they are kind of keeping the main characters in the book. They're not really they are focusing on Namor and Cap and Hammond's original Torch and the Winter Soldier. They're keeping them in the book and not trying to expand the rosters right away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and anybody they have kind of brought back out, so we'll probably see some more people from their past or whatnot at various points, I would imagine. But
exactly.
And going back to the Cap Namor thing, you did see that one panel where when Cap comes in, so he kind of because right again he kind of catches that attitude. It's
yeah.
It's like, hold up. Let's do this right now. We're anything else or whatever. So Cap's kind of got his shoulder up. I'm kind of hoping, I was kind of hoping that was going to come up as opposed to this, but this is kind of, I guess.
This is still. I was about to say. I would say that this is still dealing with the way Namor's been acting. Since.
Right.
Since whatchamacallit, since A versus X. Or even before that. So.
But this has to be before New Avengers, though. 23, because that's because if you've read New Avengers 23, Namor is kind of doing something different.
Right.
This is kind of have to be. I assume this is before that, and I don't know if any of that's gonna get addressed later on down the line of this book.
It's gotta be. This is what we need the old school Marvel saga for. Tell us how this all fits in together.
There you go.
It's like poor Tim Dog would not understand that reference at all. But yeah, just to finish up this issue, there's a cliffhanger at the end that I didn't really understand. So
Yeah.
I'm willing to give Robinson and Pugh a lot of slack on this, even though I wasn't so happy with that final reveal. I was like, huh? I like this book. I think the banter is well written. The characterizations, like at least the team-based characterization is good, and the art is phenomenal. I like this book. So, it's actually entered. Believe it or not, it's entered my physical pull list.
Awesome. Awesome. You think this might be your click of the week?
It's getting there. It's getting there. Although, listen, I had so much fun reading a couple of other books. This is one of the candidates. Like I said, I really enjoyed Avengers 34 because of the aha and the, kind of me literally saluting Cap because I'm like, yeah, man, that's right. You clever people. Exactly. So,
awesome.
I'm kind of wondering if, I'm kind of wondering if because of the end of the book is kind of drawing back to the first arc of this book of On the Invaders because as you recall, when they were fighting the Kree.
Yeah.
So maybe this somehow is going to tie back into that.
Maybe.
Kind of
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. Speaking of space, did anyone read Guardians of the Galaxy number 18?
Wait, Classic, you was gonna?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I read that also. What you got on that one?
So, anyone who is a fan of the later incarnations of Richard Rider, aka Nova, right? We are all basically thinking the same thing that now who is it? that Gamora is thinking the first couple pages of this book. What happened to Richard Rider? And basically, Gamora, like I'm not spoiling too much. Gamora is literally grilling, interrogating. Might as well be waterboarding Star-Lord. Trying to find out what happened in the Cancerverse when Star-Lord, Nova, and Thanos were trapped in the Cancerverse way back when. And we do not get a resolution. We do get a cliffhanger. We do get a tune in to next issue. But the way this issue panned out, I'm waiting to see how Bendis figures out how to not completely kill off Richard Rider and completely alienate anyone who liked reading Richard Rider as Nova.
Right. Did you seen the movie? Both of you have seen Guardians?
Yes.
Yes.
Did any part of this book seem strangely familiar to you in that?
With regards to the movie?
Yeah. Go to.
Oh, with Drax? Not even that?
Yeah, a little past that. When you see them in the Cancerverse and Quill's fighting, basically Quill's fighting.
Oh, don't worry, you ain't spoiling it for everybody.
Yeah,
I know that Classic. The more we talk these books up, the more Classic's gonna want to read it.
Oh yeah. I'm just listening intently. And go, damn, why didn't I read that book? Yeah.
Well, it's got Labor Day weekend to read this stuff.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. I got all weekend. When I listen to the show and listen to you guys talk, I follow along on like the 4 books I've read, and like I spend the rest of the weekend just reading the rest of them. Like, oh man, they really talk some good shit on that one. I got to check it out. So this is definitely one that's on my to-do list. But I'm even just glancing at now, and this looks awesome.
Yeah. I mean. The book reads really nicely, and I mean all the action just flows pretty decently. Like Agent 7 said, we don't get any closure in this one, but that was for the reason of that. But the reason why I brought up the movie was because it seemed like when they're in the Cancerverse and Quill's fighting, before things started to shift a little bit, Quill's fighting Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems like some of that was kind of. At least it felt like to me. I may be reading too much into this, but it seemed like part of that was kind of near the end of the movie in the way it was being handled.
You mean when in the battle with Ronan?
Right.
Oh, okay.
It felt like it was,
for anyone who did not watch this movie.
Yeah, it felt like it was kind of going down that same route, except for I think the movie's probably, this is not going to end up that same way, but it was just kind of reminiscent of that to me.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which is neither a good or a bad thing. It was just like, okay, that's interesting.
Okay. All right. So, you know, I enjoyed this issue, and it did leave me wanting more, which is a good thing. But that's also I think a big part of that is I really want to know what the heck happened to Richard Rider, people.
Right.
Yeah, they're really teasing everyone with this because they're saying, well, we're gonna reveal this to you. Just stay tuned.
Exactly.
Original Sins. This has got to be the event that we'll show it to you. It's cool seeing the Cosmic Cube being just bandied about.
Yeah.
As well too. So anyone that's watching that's familiar with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and knowing the meaning of the Tesseract or the Cosmic Cube, and I mean, it does kind of mix things up a little bit because that canon is a little different in terms of the usefulness of the Cosmic Cube, but there's that familiarity there for anyone that's like looking.
Yeah, I don't know what the Tesseract is. It's all I see is the Cosmic Cube. Every time they say Tesseract, I see Cosmic Cube. I hear Cosmic Cube. I don't hear
exactly.
And there's the Infinity Stones and being embedded inside. These are not like little Russian dolls. I mean, the Infinity Gems are different. Yeah, you don't open up a Cosmic Cube and hey, look, there's a gem in there.
Exactly.
Like these are Infinity Seeds or something.
Right.
Mercy. All right, so it's getting late. People,
Korvac, but anyway,
what's that?
I said I still want to see Korvac, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to Agent 70's point, it is getting late, so let's kind of speed around through.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's do quick reviews.
Thunderbolts, number 30. I checked that out. The Punisher versus the Thunderbolts, Part 4. He basically goes up against Elektra, who he's been romantically linked to of late, and the battle takes some different turns. Between the two of them, there's some flashbacks elements there that show, kind of how the Punisher and Elektra have been developing strategy for each other, because they're both like pretty much tacticians, if you will, in terms of combat. And I just thought it was an interesting issue in the way the story played out, and the art was a little different than I'm expecting.
It's definitely different.
Yeah,
I did read this on the way home today. I was curious.
Yeah, Jorge Fornes, and I could be pronouncing that wrong, but he's got a unique style. Just bear with it. But I think it fits the story a little bit because the story, although there is a lot of violence, so to speak, and and madcap mayhem as we're used to with Thunderbolts. Between these two, it kind of and it's because he's been on the book for a while now, actually, has he? So it kind of fits like there, with Deadpool and everything else. I don't think it took away from the story. I think it just enhanced it to a degree, but it does take some getting used to. One thing I noticed with comics with Marvel is they tend to just like go. They go with a lot of unconventional artists now. They've been doing this for years, but it's like more. They're just kind of pushing that envelope now, where it's like, they're not just going with like how to draw the Marvel way type artists anymore.
Right.
Which there's good and bad in that.
What I was gonna say is, I think was in the last month or two, maybe it was around the time of San Diego. Wasn't there an article that said that Marvel didn't want to have a quote-unquote house style anymore?
Yeah.
And, right now, I think the house style over at DC is really Jim Lee style, and partially even, like a streamlined Greg Capullo, type renderings as well. Like you see Jason Fabok, actually, that's a bit of news that I saw today that I forgot to add. Jason Fabok is the new artist on Justice League. And Jason Fabok is, if anyone has been reading Batman Eternal, anytime they do something big in Batman Eternal, Jason Fabok is the artist because they want people to buy it. He was the artist on Detective Comics. I know I've commented on it before. He's definitely heavily influenced by Jim Lee, David Finch, some Top Cow artist style as well, like Mark Silvestri. Is definitely a heavy influence for him, and ultimately, uh, that art, that's the sort of DC house style that exists right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
Marvel, I
and
think, is opening up to like more indie style stuff.
yeah, there's that big contrast, and I think a lot of it goes back to Marvel seeing success with unconventional artists on books, even despite fan reaction to some of
Sure.
these artists. Like I think back to Mike Allred and and reaction to his work, and then all of a sudden he's on Silver Surfer.
Right. Well,
So
remember, like, it's been going on for a while now. Like, we'll use David Aja as an example. Remember, he made a big splash, not, like he had already made a name for himself on Immortal Iron Fist before he hit Daredevil,
yeah,
and Hawkeye. He'd already kind of established that style and prepared everyone to get, to appreciate it. So, I agree. Marvel has definitely opened itself up to not just, like you said, how to draw comics the Marvel way. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because if you could
no.
draw like Big John Buscema,
Yeah.
you've got talent.
hmm and that teaches you the basics of comics. One thing I took out from this issue too, other than the battle, was the reveal, and I'll go ahead and spoil this for people, but it's basically one panel. Spoiler alert. Elektra was there on the day that Frank Castle's family was gunned down in Central Park. She actually witnessed.
Rhett, come
Really?
on.
Yeah. So take that as you will, folks.
Rhett, come on.
I don't know if that was just a plot element they just used for that. And then I didn't understand the panel with Hawkeye and the
at the bottom, right?
splash page. I didn't
That
understand that at all.
weird.
It was like, okay, so he saw everything, but really, that's but I guess this kind of goes to that cartoony type style too.
Yeah.
But anyway, this all is going to lead up to the next issue where has to face off against the Punisher, because the Punisher's taking out all of the Thunderbolts one by one. So that should be the final battle, and we'll see how this plays into the last issues of the Thunderbolts, because this is coming to an end again.
Did anyone read Cyclops #4?
Yep.
Classic. Are you reading this?
I'm reading it. I did not read this one. I kind of skimmed it.
I don't want to spoil it. It's actually pretty good. I liked it.
Yeah.
It's definitely there's definitely the strong father-son dynamic going on here. It's well written. It's definitely something for anyone who's a fan of Cyclops and Corsair really needs to pick this up, and just anyone who's looking for just a good read, where you're not dealing with the entire team dynamic, you're dealing with, a couple of main characters. It's a good read, for that, in that sense as well.
Okay.
Let's see. Quick reviews. What else can I throw out there?
Yeah, I'm kind of tapped out on the books I've read. Have you guys read any other DC books this week?
Yeah, I was about to get to that. Batman Eternal #21. Quick hitting. Like I said, if Jason Fabok is doing the art, there's some revealing going on, and we see, it might be a red herring, but we see who might be behind all of the Batman Eternal stuff. I absolutely do not want to spoil it. I'm not even going to hit the spoiler alert bell. If you honestly, if you haven't been reading Batman Eternal up till now, honestly, you could probably pick this book up at this point and read forward from here. To be perfectly honest,
Good jumping on point for new readers.
Yeah, because like I said, you get a reveal. You get a reveal 21 issues into a weekly series. This is a good jumping on point. How funny is that, right?
There you go. Awesome.
Flash #34. Anybody read that?
I have not read that either.
I read this with Tim in mind, because Tim Dog is a big fan of Brett Booth.
Yeah.
And Dirt loves to poke fun at him for being a fan of Brett Booth. And so
what's wrong with Brett Booth?
Well, listen, because he's thinking of like Wildstorm and Backlash or Blacklash or whatever he called himself. Backlash, I think it was. And I read those books. I bought those books.
Yeah. But honestly, his style is almost perfect for this type for the Flash.
Right.
You look every page. There's motion. I like the Flash as a comic because of the fact that there's always motion. With even with non-Flash characters and the panels and everything, it's just a very action oriented. So.
Mm-hmm. So the bottom line with this book is some of the New 52 stories are starting to come back. They're starting to tie back in. You're going to have to wait a month because of this Futures End business, but when you get back to the regular Flash title, you're going to see how it's all starting to tie in together. But as a side note, always remember Flash is unfortunately about time travel. There, has very strong elements of time travel in his stories.
Yeah.
There is a strong element of time travel in this story. And if you're like me and completely sick of time travel in comics, you're gonna have to put that prejudice or that disdain or distaste for time travel aside and try to enjoy this book for what it is. It's a pretty good story.
Yeah, and he doesn't use a treadmill in this.
No treadmill. But I was about to say the other story mechanism that they use for time travel, the Speed Force.
Yeah.
Going wonky is part of the story. Let's see if there's anything else I can throw out there for our quickie reviews. Let's see. I couldn't even open Batman Superman 13 because Jay Lee's back on the book, and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna have to take my time with that.
Yeah, you gotta be in a mood to read like stuff that Jay Lee's drawn. Gotta be a certain kind of frame.
That's funny. I was joking about this before. Wolverine number 12. Did anyone read this? Because we have 1 month to die.
Is he finally gonna die?
Not in this issue.
1 month to die.
Not in this issue.
Just let him go already.
Yeah, honestly, I'm like, all right, let's get to let's cut to the chase already. Enough with this.
Yeah.
And this is my non-click of the week because seriously, I've read so many Wolverine Sabretooth battles. I go back very, very far on the Wolverine Sabretooth battles.
Yeah.
Seriously, 3 punches, people. 3 freaking punches, and Creed is knocked out. Are you serious? Apollo Creed wasn't knocked out in 3 punches.
Yeah.
Victor Creed's going to get knocked out in 3 punches? Come on.
Yeah. I guess all that training over the years has helped Logan. Great deal.
Don't get me started, man. I was just in shock when I saw that. I was like, really? That's how they did it? My goodness. So we covered that. Guardians we did, Avengers we did, all new X-Men. We covered a lot of books.
I'm kind of disappointed that it's not going to be Creed that takes out Wolverine.
Nah. Well, we don't know that yet. We still have the miniseries, The Death of Wolverine, to deal with.
Oh, jeez. Just die already.
All right. So it's Click of the Week time, people.
It should be Scott Summers that just blows a hole in his ass.
It's Click of the Week time, people.
I would. Aquaman should come in the crossover with some piranhas and kill Wolverine.
Oh my God.
I'd read that.
Yeah, screw that. Click of the week, folks.
Click of the week time. Click of the week time.
All right.
So who wants to go? Roddy, do you have one? I'm still juggling right now.
Yeah. Let me go ahead with All New Invaders number 9.
Nice.
It was a pretty solid book. It was we got a lot of action. We getting somewhere with it. Not that there wasn't a threat of that, but it was a good read. So there you go.
Cool.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, in lieu of not reading Cyclops, shoot right up there to the top.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to change it. I was going to pick All New X-Men number 31, but now that I'm looking at it again, and I'm going to definitely go through this again, but Aquaman, I gotta go with the guy down underwater. Aquaman number 34, and
Nice.
the Chimera, because it is basically a knockdown, drag out slobber knocker, which is I love any issue that just takes the whole issue with it. Yeah, yeah. He's electrocuting them. So it's like Aquaman's
Yes.
fighting a new villain on each page, but it's the same guy, and basically, someone that hid this up.
I gotcha.
And when reading, anyone that's like, oh, Aquaman's a terrible character, he's useless or whatever, read issues like this, and you'll change your mind, because you're going to see that this is not just this is not old school Aquaman that gets disrespected. I think that's passe right now. People don't do that anymore. But yeah, man, just so much appreciation for this character. This is my click of the week. The art is still fantastic. The writing is great, and you get what you pay for.
Okay.
I want to see more Chimera. Maybe he'll come back.
Oh, he will. He will.
Yeah.
I was about to say I won't spoil anything. Although I just did.
Yeah, you go.
So I'm going to settle on Avengers 34 because, look, the title of the book, I was flipping back through it, is The Last Avenger. Who is the last Avenger standing? Captain America.
Yeah, he's the first and the last.
Exactly. And as I was saying before, there's a couple of, speechifying Cap moments in this, and I'm just like, yeah, saluting, just, gets you real jazzed about, about the character and about where this is going. And in addition, we get a lot of exposition and explanation of the mumbo jumbo by Hickman, where the story's been going, and we definitely get a clear indication of what direction we're going in after, in the next issue. So I'm going to say Avengers number 34 is my click of the week for this week.
Awesome. There we go.
I definitely suggest anyone who's been on Avengers, if you haven't read it yet, read it. If you want to get into Avengers, it's a lot of mumbo jumbo. This might not be the most new reader-friendly book, but it's still a fun read. Not knowing any of this stuff going in, this is still a pretty fun read. It probably is pretty hard to, open up the book and see a Young Avenger and Kang and Immortus and all sorts of stuff, but it was still fun, regardless of not understanding everything.
Yeah. So great. And for anyone that for any comics we didn't, I'll go through some comics we didn't cover just to read off titles. This is kind of your homework assignment, guys. Whether it's you guys here on the show or anyone listening, if you've read these books, chime in. Hit us up at the KLIQ Nation on Twitter and all of our different social media outlets with your comments on these books. But yeah, if you want to read, check out Bob's Burgers #1. That's a book. You want to check that out. You want to check out the new Mice Templar 4.13. That's also there. Gru
versus Conan.
Yeah, Gru versus Conan.
Number 2 of 4.
Yeah, so you want to check.
I couldn't make my way through the first issue. Maybe I'll try now.
I love Gru the Wanderer. Justice League Dark number 34. So you can get into that. And Red Lanterns number 34, which is on my list of things that I want to check out next. A great Guy Gardner story. It's good to see Guy Gardner still kicking ass for the Lanterns. Sinestro number 5. And again, these are 2 books. I'm sure Tim is all over these. He's a big Green Lantern type of guy, so he's probably all over those 2. We didn't cover the new 52 Future's End number 17. So check that out. And finally, Exo Man of War number 28 under the Valiant line. So check that out. And of course, there are many others, but
I was going to say there's a couple more.
I'll add just one. Black Science number 8. Just
okay.
read that. This is that book continues to be pretty good.
Right. I was about to say there's a couple of Marvel books that we did not get this week for previews. I will throw out Original Sin number 5.4. This is the 10th Realm story with Thor and Loki and Angela.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to picking up my physical copy of that and reading that. Silver Surfer number 5. We have not had a chance to read yet this week. And Wolverine and the X-Men number 8, we have not had a chance to read this week.
We have not.
This is a big week, pre-Labor Day weekend. There's a lot of books out this week. We could not touch on all of them. But if you have read these books and you have something to say, make sure to tweet us, hashtag Comic Book Chronicles, and tweet us at our respective Twitter handles. There you go.
Yeah, and sex number 15 if you're into that kind of thing.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, folks, this is a good opportunity to close out the show. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. If you've been listening, if you've been joining us live on YouTube, on the Google Plus Hangout, thank you. And for those of you that are listening on the podcast scene, continue to listen to future episodes of Comic Book Chronicles here on the Cold Slither Podcast Network of shows. Also, check out some of the other shows on the feed, like the Good and Terrible Show, Classic Team Up. And
Go Classic Team Up. That's still my favorite theme song.
I come up with a new one each time.
I know, but that one's my favorite. That's the one that
yeah.
sticks in my head. But anyway.
Yeah. I do General Zod this week, so check that out, folks. And future episodes of all different shows on the Cold Slither Podcast Network. And then keep visiting us on the KLIQNation.com. That's KLIQ Nation.com. Send your tweets to @TheKLIQ on Twitter. Facebook, the KLIQ Nation, Google Plus, and all other social networks. And keep up with myself. I'm Classic Materia. That's CLASSICKMATERIA. You can tweet me on Twitter there, as well as Tim Dog, the regular host at TimDOGG98 on Twitter. And finally, PCN Dirt. You can check him on Twitter. That's PCN
_Dirt.
Yeah, Dirts. And then you guys have your Twitter handles there, Agent_70 and @RoddyCat on Twitter.
Yeah, if you see me at DragonCon, holler at me. Say hey.
Yes, holler at. I'm going to expect a full report on DragonCon next week, man.
I will have something.
Because I definitely have
I won't be on next week, but I'll have something.
Yeah, maybe post some photos and some video and some stuff on the
that
site.
reminds me, I still haven't put up an article on my the release party for Hip Hop Family Tree Volume 2 yet. I still haven't done it. I'm so bad.
And done Heroes Con, so
You're on the clock.
Yep.
You're on the clock, folks.
Definitely.
Well, guys, until next week, thank you for listening to another edition of the Comic Book Chronicles.
Yeah!
Peace. See you next week.